NDTV Control ALT Defense, powered by IFCO Tokyo. Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Control ALT Defense podcast. Vishnu and I are sitting on a truly proud piece of weaponry. Proud because this is India's very own mountain tank. It's called Zorawar. If you didn't already know about it, but now you definitely will. And it is also a proud piece of weaponry and a proud day for us, Vishnu, because this is a system that's built in India. It's been designed in India. It's going to be heading into the Indian Army. It's been built and designed in response to a live combat situation that's been happening since the last 5 years in Ladakh. And it's taken record time to actually be here. So what an incredible day to be bringing you this episode sitting on Zorawar.
You know, I think it's fantastic, Shiv, that we've got the engineering prowess, and we are with Larsen and Toubro at this stage, who've had a massive role in the design and development and ultimately the production of this tank in large numbers. For India to actually be manufacturing the state-of-the-art in tanks for our armored formations, something which has an incredible power-to-weight ratio. It's got a fabulous gun. It's designed to operate not just in the mountains, but out in the desert as well, slushy conditions, put it all together in record time, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Truly fabulous. Mr. Ramchandani, thanks so much for agreeing to have these two pests with you, who've moved the tank 20 times in this heat to get just the right position.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about the timing first. For 2.5, 3 odd years, and you built it. How difficult was that?
So, from the time we embarked on building it to the time we realized it and it was ready for its first trial, it took us 21 months.
Wow.
Now that is an incredibly short time.
Yeah.
I would say it's a record of sorts, because every time you want to induct a new weapon system, it takes ages. And, just like COVID showed us that come the need, come the hour, somebody will find a way to make a vaccine much faster. We kind of felt the urge and the need to build this piece of equipment very quickly. And I think it's wonderful that this has the experience and knowledge of DRDO, the guys who worked on the Arjun for many decades.
Yeah.
And they are seasoned, hardened designers and engineers, and our team of motivated guys. We just got done with building the K9 Vajra for the artillery. Yeah, and post that, we just felt that things are happening up there. We took the Vajra up to the high altitudes, and that itself was an experience for us, modifying a weapon system which was originally designed in Korea and adapting it to Indian conditions, modifying the power pack to take care of that, gave us the kind of confidence that we can build an armored platform for the high altitudes with the kind of mobility. And that's how it all started. DRDO and us got together. Where it took a little bit of time was to, iron out the processes to enable us to work together.
Yeah.
But sir, let me interrupt you for half a second.
Yeah.
Is this the world's best light tank for mountain use?
So,
I know it's a generic question.
Arguably, it is the best because it's the most contemporary one. So we've, kept in mind the current technologies. Of course, we've kept in mind the user and our operating environment. So
You've got the toughest customer as well.
we have the toughest customer. And, when we did the first design, we kind of used the K9 chassis and tried to build something on it. That solution came to about 40 tons.
Right.
We said that doesn't work. And then Dr. Satish Reddy, who was then heading DRDO at that time, said, look, I'm going to get 3 Armored Corps veterans to come and look at your design. So we had General JP, we had General Praveen Bakshi, and with all that, they came down, they looked at our design, they gave us the user insights, and then we kind of refixed it, we reconfigured it, designed the new hull, looked at turret configurations where we could adapt what is easily available as the best pieces of equipment, put it all together, and created this marvel in 21 months.
21 months is incredible. I mean, Arun Ramchandani is a veteran L&T man and an engineer himself, but by any benchmark, 21 months is incredible. And this was mission mode, sir. Because you had a standoff, you had a live war-like situation in Ladakh. The army realized that this requirement was a sort of black hole. It was a void that needed to be filled. And you and your team kind of stepped up. 21 months is practically nothing in defense development. How did you do it so fast?
So, like I said, there are a number of ingredients that went into it. To begin with, we had experience on our side. So we had, people who'd worked on the Arjun for a long time. So we had that. We had a young team that was raring to go. We had an industry mindset. What we bring to the table is an industry mindset that is all about producing things fast, how things can be done reliably, quickly, efficiently. So we brought that mindset to the table. We brought a bunch of system engineers who think system engineering. A weapon system is a complex collection of different, from electronics to gun systems to mechanical systems, drives, power pack, all of that. So we got system engineers to put these pieces together. We didn't worry about, that we will design the engine and we will do this. Let's get the best engine available. Let's put it together. And let's create first a system that works, that can be made operational. We had the involvement of the user, the then DG Armored Corps, General Brar. We had veteran Armored Corps officers who looked at this. And it was as though the whole country got together to build this. So youth and experience.
Tell us a little bit about the capabilities of the tank. What can this tank do? You've said it, since it is contemporary and much more modern, I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's, outmatches anything that it's going to go up against potentially. But tell us a little bit about the gun, the systems on board this tank. What makes it so good, sir?
So, as you know, any tank is a combination of mobility, survivability, lethality. And so let's go with lethality first. What we have, we had to make the tank light for two reasons. It should be effective whether it's climbing a dune or it's up there in the mountains. And the one target that we worked with was that we had to build it below 25 tons. So the gun choice also had to be accordingly selected. We selected the 105 mm. So though that's a smaller caliber than the typical main battle tank guns, the good thing about it is that the ammunition is lighter. The gun has the same level of lethality. The wonderful thing is that we can elevate this to very high angles.
The main gun.
The main gun.
So you can elevate the main gun right up.
Yeah. So normally that's a limitation. But when you're in the mountains and all that, you do need this high elevation. So we selected a smaller gun, low recoil, with high lethality, high elevation, lower weight of ammunition. All that put together made this the obvious choice for the gun. Looking at the power pack, we had to go for a high power to weight ratio. We initially went with the MTU engine. We did face a few challenges because of...
The German one.
Yeah, because of restrictions on export control. And we couldn't wait, Yeah. So we said that by the time the paperwork gets done, let's change the engine. And
we have a war.
Yeah, yeah. So we can't wait for somebody to, permit an export of... So the engine was lying ready in Germany. But
so it's a Cummins engine now, right?
Now we have a Cummins.
Which is an American engine.
It's an American engine, but the engine will be produced in India. So the one thing that we kept in mind is that whatever elements we use, they should be all producible in India. We should not be hostage to availability of any subsystem or component from any part of the world. While on the one hand, we don't need to build every piece of equipment, because if we take that approach, it is like going that 25-year.
Is she amphibious?
She is amphibious. So
unlike the Chinese Type 15 tank,
absolutely.
Right? And in the context of Ladakh, that's important because of the rivulets and the small rivers.
Absolutely. In fact, even
how does she perform in the water?
So we have to go for the user trials, and we'll know how it does. But it's got an interesting equipment called water jets, which we designed and built ourselves. So those are designed by L&T and integrated into this. And because we build ships, we know how water jets work. So we made small water jets for this and mounted it here. So with that, you can do, 6 kilometer per hour kind of wading through the waters. And she is amphibious at this weight. You do see some of the side fenders, which also give it the required buoyancy. And it's a wonderful piece of equipment for our application.
And the gun itself is, I saw some video some time back comparing the gun firing with the Chinese Type 15.
Yeah.
The recoil is almost not there.
Not there, yeah.
And you compare that with the Type 15, which appeared to shake a lot more when the main gun fired. The fact that this John Cockerell gun is virtually recoilless, I mean, in the context of a tank, what sort of advantage does that provide?
No, so that gives us great advantage in terms of the space management inside, high recoil gun, then the crew comfort inside, all of that. So, it is a lovely piece of engineering. Yeah. And we've looked at compactness, we've looked at lethality of the gun, and I think we've got a winner here.
Shiv and I are sitting on missiles, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Shiv, it's not the BrahMos, relax.
Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah.
Right
I suppose you're not the
shoot.
bad guy, so the missiles won't fire at you.
Plus, we're sitting on them, not in front of them, so that's still okay. But tell us a little bit about the weapons. Apart from the gun, you've got...
Yeah, we have a 7.62 coax gun here.
And it's remotely controlled, right?
It's remotely controlled.
So nobody's
this is
outside.
A coax gun, and then, you have the coax gun with the main gun parallel here.
Yeah.
And then you have this RCWS, which is a 12.6 mm gun, which is remotely controlled. So you have 3 weapons right here. You have the missiles, which are the ATGMs. Right now, we are integrating the DRDO built ATGM.
Which is the NAG, right? Or a variant of
which
that?
is a variant of that. So we are integrating that, and very shortly we'll be going for the missile trials. And so that's integrated onto this. We could integrate any 5th generation missile onto this. And so you have ATGM, you have the 105 mm gun, you have the 7.62 coax, and you have the RCWS.
What about the armor? For our Arjun tank, we had the Kanchan armor, which was it was well regarded. Yeah. But you needed obviously lighter tank,
so
lighter
we needed
armor.
lighter armor.
But is that problematic? The less the armor in the context of modern threats like drones and things, is that a vulnerability?
No, so, we've managed a great combination of protection with lightweight. So you can see many of these composite armor panels, which are, separated from the backing armor. And it's a good design of the armor protection. So we have, I'm not, for obvious reasons, talking about protection levels at different locations of the tank, but we've achieved a high level of protection, and we balanced the need for amphibiousness with protection, with combinations of backing materials, which are both aluminum and steel, and special composites, which give it the required level of protection.
What is the customer saying, sir? As far as trials are concerned, how far along are trials? For the benefit of our listeners and viewers, has the Zorawar been taken, into the field, done things there?
So we've taken it into the field. We've taken it to the high altitudes. We've done mobility trials. We've done firing trials. But all of these are what we call internal trials between DRDO and us, because we need to tune the systems. We need to get confidence that it's good now to hand it over to the user. and very shortly we will be handing it over to the user. We have one round of trials which got suspended because of Operation Sindoor, so we had to fall back, and we are going to close that out.
You could have used the tanks.
Yeah, so our guys, our engineers were excited, being there. But then we pulled back, and we'll go back and finish those internal trials, and then hand it over to the user to start testing it. Of course, the user has a requirement that when they start testing, they need 2 prototypes. So, they don't want to go into their trials with just one prototype, so that if there are any breakdowns or anything, the trials should be able to continue smoothly. So we are getting the second prototype ready as well. And
so this is the tank which actually went up for the trials, this very tank?
This very tank.
Wow.
So this is the first prototype Zorawar tank.
So she's been up there.
She's been up there. She's been in the desert. She's been up there.
She's been extensively used.
And
what's it like inside? Electronics, apart from the weapons, are everything.
Yeah.
So tell us about the targeting systems, the electronics, situational awareness, what that entire experience is for the fighter sitting inside.
So situational awareness is very critical for the tank. And we have very contemporary sighting systems for the gunner and the commander. And in addition to that, we have additional surveillance inputs. We also have a drone to give it higher range surveillance.
So it's a small drone which can
we dock a drone into this, and then we can get better situational awareness from the drone. So that's the kind of.
What about anti-drone technology? What about modern systems which defend tanks against incoming projectiles? Those are heavy, but are necessary because in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war, we've seen armor taking hits quite frequently.
So we are working on integrating those and looking at counter-drone systems, looking at, of course, various jamming systems, etc., which can be used for the soft kill system, and also the potential to integrate an active protection system onto this so that you can protect yourself against kinetic energy rounds. But that's all evolutions as we go along. The first thing is to get the system out there, get it.
But that is something that will come along.
It is part of the roadmap. It is very much part of the roadmap, and we would have all the current electronic warfare and protection systems that would be required for a weapon system like this.
With the incredible amount of experience that L&T already has, and this amazing project, which is so easy to see because it's such a handsome tank that, like you said, is going to go to the user for their first trials. Give us your vision for what a future fighting vehicle is going to look like, because that is where we are headed as well, and that might be dramatically different to how we sort of understand the tank right now, given what's happened in Ukraine and even our own experience right now.
So, there are 2 sides to this. On the one hand, there are people who believe that a tank is essential to war, and you can't have a system without this kind of armor and this kind of equipment.
Tanks are not going anywhere.
No, they are not going anywhere. That said, there is this whole lessons that we keep learning every day from, the way the ammunition needs to be stored inside a tank. What kind of vulnerability does that bring to the system? How you orient the fuel systems in the tank? How do you bring the mine protection? So we've done blast tests also on mock-up of this tank to see the survivability of the crew under a mine blast. So we've done all of that. And as we move forward, things are moving towards manned, unmanned teaming. So I suppose the evolution would be how to create manned-unmanned teaming and how to have a family of tanks which work together. The network centricity, both for, say, designating missiles, you could designate a missile from a drone, you know. So these are all the evolutions which are happening, counter-drone systems, jamming systems, laser warning systems, all of these are integrated into
The other aspect, sir, of all of this is crew comfort.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable way up in the mountains. It's certainly uncomfortable in the desert. How do you maximize crew comfort? It's a three-person crew, three-man crew, right?
It's a three-man crew, yeah.
So how is that also, a priority?
So Vishnu, when you sit in, you will get a feel of what it feels like to be a commander of the tank. And we've paid enough attention to detail on crew comfort, the kind of seats that are used, the kind of space around the crew, the accessibility to the joysticks, the displays, etc. So enough attention has been paid to that. Of course, we must say that this is the first prototype of the product, and any product does undergo evolutions. And as we go to the field, as the user starts, using it in his conditions, it's one thing. Today we are here in this wonderful armored systems complex where you can drive around on test tracks. But when you're out there in the field, I'm sure there'll be a lot of feedback which we will get. And the wonderful thing is that because we've designed it and we've designed it with the guidance of our Armored Corps officers, and we will get feedback from our field, I think we will be able to create something which will be just right for our people.
Do you see unmanned ground vehicle versions of the Zorawar or other fighting vehicles as a probable necessity in the future, sir?
So I'm not an operations guy or the field.
But in terms of the technology.
But in a broad sense, if you ask me, I would say yes. And I do see the need for manned-unmanned systems to work together and all of that. The military technologists and planners will, work out the operational strategies and what is required. I think technology is not a constraint. It's pretty much feasible to make this into an unmanned system and to enable it with various kinds of capabilities. We did that to one of the BMP that the CVRD had as a technology demonstrator, and a lot of those pieces of technology are available. I suppose as the regiments start getting inducted and we, start looking at the military tactics, we'll figure out what needs to be done and how the technology elements.
Does this have an autoloader?
It does have an autoloader.
Which is why it's possible to get into an unmanned
yes.
scenario.
So it has
autoloaders.
So it has ready-to-fire rounds which are on the autoloader. It has rounds which are stored. Now, if we want to create a mechanism, today there is a mechanism to reload, but all of those things can be automated as well.
So I wanted to ask you about the other big system you've developed, which the K9, which is inducted in the Indian Army now in very large numbers. You certainly want more orders coming your way, and there's a good chance of that actually taking place. That's been operationally deployed at the height of the standoff against the Chinese. What has the experience of the user been with that system? How good is it in broad terms?
I think it is a wonderful weapon system. We have heard a lot of positive feedback. The user is delighted about it. We delivered 100 systems, that's 5 regiments, and we have orders for 5 more. As we speak, the workshops are now whirring up to...
And they're built over here?
They were built right here and in this armored systems complex. And in fact, we built this armored systems complex when we got the order for the first 100 guns. Yeah. So the complex was built when we got the order for the first 100, and then those 90 of them were built here. The first 10 we built it in other workshops around here. And now this armored systems complex can churn out, maybe today 50, and largely we are constrained by supply chain rather than the capacities here. We can easily scale up this further.
But what percentage of it is Indian, the K9?
So the K9 today, what we are doing, the next 100, that's 60%. The first 100 that we did was 50%. And the roadmap is to take it up to 80%.
Is it going to spawn other weapon platforms? You know, when we began this episode, you talked about how you looked at the K9 as a possible platform for the light tank, for the mountain tank. Could there be other sort of...
So there could be variants. Now, as you know, the K9, it's done in partnership with
Hanwha, right?
Hanwha of Korea.
Yeah.
And because of that, we don't have entire freedom of, we need to involve them whenever we want to use the system. But that's why for this, we decided to build our own chassis so that we don't have any encumbrances on this. And there could be a lot of variants that can be built on this chassis as well.
I'm just intrigued once again on the Zorawar, the side skirt which you have, which is armored. It's an interesting design concept. It's there in some tanks, but it's very prominent in this tank. What was the thinking or the rationale in sort of deploying that? It's optional, right?
Yeah, so the whole idea was we had two things, we had to increase the buoyancy of the tank, which meant more volume. We had to increase the protection. Interestingly, this tank has rubber band tracks. So unlike the clank, clank steel tracks that you hear on a tank, which is the signature sound of a tank, all that's gone. And now you have rubber band tracks here. And
it doesn't destroy roads.
It doesn't destroy roads. We can just drive it into a factory.
That's actually a big thing.
Yeah. It's a big thing. It kind of dampens the vibrations. So the ride is a lot smoother than any tank that you would ride in.
Sure. Just one or two more questions, sir.
And I do want to ask about artillery as well, because you've got the,
in fact, why don't you go ahead with that? I mean, because it is such a key part.
Because when our viewers and listeners are looking at Mr. Ramchandani, he's got two big guns behind him, and we're going to put those shots also in this episode. Tell us about artillery. That's a space that has been found wanting for so long. The army's had quest after quest for these guns, not from a procurement perspective, but from a technology perspective. It looks like things have really matured in the last 5 years, and you've got some guns ready to go as well.
Right. So
I would say, Shiv, also from a procurement perspective. I mean, the orders just never came, and then they came all of a sudden with the K9, but other tanks, some of other artillery pieces, some of which, this wonderful company deploys. Yeah. They aren't in service in India. They're in service elsewhere.
It's a long and winding story, but yes.
Yeah. So what you see on the backdrop are guns which are going outside the country, and
to friendly partner nations.
Yeah. So let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And the artillery technology has also evolved. We've, of course, been associated with rocket artillery for a while. It started with the Pinaka systems that we built with the DRDO, hugely successful system, highly indigenous system. In fact, that's where we learned many of our basics, and we got down to building these kind of equipment along with DRDO, designing the nuts and bolts of it. In those days, we designed a lot more things in-house because accessibility to foreign components was limited and our scales were small. So, it made sense for us to do everything. It took a lot longer though, but that's what enabled us to graduate to these levels. So we are building the towed guns. We are also now working on mounted guns. For the two programs for the towed and mounted guns, our partners are AWEIL, which is the erstwhile ordnance factory. So the idea was that why don't we get together? They have machinery to build ordnance, and they have capacities for that. We have capabilities to build the rest of the weapon system. So we decided that instead of 5 guys competing for one gun program, why don't we get together and see if we can synergize strengths? So that's the approach we adopted.
The sad part of this entire interview is that some of the fun stuff that Mr. Ramchandani builds and is hardly visible because it's, underwater most of the time.
And hush hush.
And super hush hush is some of the finest engineering that we've seen out of India.
And some of the oldest.
Yeah.
Been going on for the longest time. Yeah.
So, broadly speaking, submarines, how is it increasingly an area of excellence in construction, technology? I know we can't talk very specifically about it, but it's also a massive learning curve.
It is. So, building any kind of weapon system is a huge learning curve. It requires specialists, it requires certain skills, it requires industrial skills, which takes years to develop. And I think we have invested in that. Hazira here is a sprawling complex close to 1,000 acres where we make from steel to turbine blades. So that's the spectrum of manufacturing that happens in this complex. And, supercritical boilers, supercritical turbines, forgings, all of that. And in this little 50-acre piece in that Hazira complex, we build the armored systems complex. We do other kind of stuff. Like I said, not everything we can talk about, but there are skills that have been developed. What you see behind, and maybe you will get a shot of that, is also an air defense gun, which is a close-in weapon system for the Air Force and for VAVPs. And this is, again, an amazing piece of equipment where we've integrated programmable ammunition, we've integrated search radars, and the hit probability of the air defense gun, which is your last layer of air defense, has been significantly enhanced, and it's effective against drones, against high-speed aircrafts, all of that.
One final question before we wind up, Vishnu, and then you can jump in as well, is, Operation Sindoor, Mr. Ramchandani, was, there were so many pieces and elements to it in terms of weaponry. There was a large air defense element to it, lots of projectile weapons as well. Give us an overview of what L&T is doing in the missile space. We do know that you've had some joint ventures as well. Are there plans there on standoff weapons, missiles, that kind of thing?
So we do have a joint venture with MBDA, and right now we are looking at products that can be done together. Of course, let me just put a caveat that as a company, we've taken a thing that we will not do any weapons of mass destruction or not build ammunition and stuff like that. So, we call ourselves precision engineering and systems because what we believe is that our strength is in precision engineering and building systems. And that's what we want to focus on. For now, we do a lot of missile subsystems and precision components, etc. for that. We are in talks with MBDA about looking at building some of the missile systems here. A lot of the missile technology is led by DRDO, so there's, that aspect of it. And coming to modern technologies, there are a few technologies that we are focusing on. On the counter-drone side, we are looking at directed energy weapons, so, laser energy. So lasers is one area that we are focusing on because that also fits in with our precision thing. The radars and detection systems, those are crucial for, any kind of protection that you need. And so we are investing into radar, microwave technology and stuff like that. Autonomy and unmanned systems is something that we are looking at. So these are some of the new areas that we are looking at to complement the weapon platforms that we build. And of course, like I said, like when you look at this kind of a tank, there are, many thousands of subsystems and components, and some of them are critical, and we look at building some of that. Either it is in the marine space for the warships, etc., that we build, or in the land space where we look at building these equipment. So that's the spectrum from platforms to equipment. critical equipment, platforms, and then advanced systems which use all this high-tech stuff. So that's our envelope of operation.
Well, Mr. Ramchandani, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. And, both Shiv and I feel very proud about the fact that we're on an Indian-built system, and it's just going to grow and evolve. And, having a chance to speak to you, and we've only scratched the surface of what L&T actually does. Defense is an area where companies don't necessarily want to say a great deal about. But I think Atmanirbharta, Shiv, is not just a slogan, it's very real. And I think this particular tank is an example of how real it is. Thank you once again very much for being a part of this.
Thank you, Vishnu and Shom. Pleasure talking with you all.
And let me just say before we end that I hope that there is a part 2 of this podcast, and maybe that will be in the field. Maybe we'll be sitting on the Zorawar somewhere at a high altitude.
We can be out at sea or under the sea as well, Shiv. I mean,
you never know.
It all depends on Mr. Ramchandani, and
it's all about access.
It will be the user equipment, and you are free to.
See, when it comes to control all defense, there is no lack of trying. We will try to be everywhere, and we will see where we can.
It's lovely. It's great that you guys are doing this, and taking all of this technology and equipment to people around us who can, get an appreciation.
And young people, Mr. Ramchandani, young people will be looking at these Made in India projects. So sorry to ask a question after we've wrapped up, but that's the nature of podcasts. We are chaotic. But, young Indians, young engineers, do you see that as well? People looking at your products and your Made in India stuff and thinking, hey, I want to be a part of that. I want to come back to India and be a part of that.
Shiv, if you just look behind us, you find so many young people out here.
Yeah, we've seen them all over here. Amazing.
There's hardly any grey hair. I'm one of the odd guys out. But you see all these young people, and, when you walk around the other weapon systems, talk to them and see the pride with which they operate the systems, see them talking about how they designed the systems, how they've, taken them to the field and trialed them. So it is a movement, and I think it's exciting for young engineers to be working on equipment like this. It gives them a lot of challenge and a lot of satisfaction of having built something on a war footing to support a nation. I think it's a big high.
I think they're all incredibly proud. I can see some of them standing around and watching us as well. And I can only imagine how proud you are, sir, to sit here in the Zorawar. We certainly are. And you who've been behind the project all along, I can just imagine what it actually feels like sitting there. So thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you for allowing us to get onto your beautiful tank. We wish it the greatest of success in operations and the field trials that it goes into next year. And thank you again for joining us on this. This is Control All Defense. Thanks as always for watching.
Goodbye.